Welcome to day 5 of positioning ourselves for our best year yet and unlocking the keys to our success. And today we're going to talk about problem solving. And if you and I are going to have transformative success this year and do things that we've never done, and if we're going to impact our communities and change the world, it starts with our ability to create solutions and to solve problems. So when we think about, let's say, the transportation industry and how that's evolved over the course of time. At one point in time, we were traveling by foot, horse and carriage, boat, train, bicycles, and then came along cars and airplanes, and it changed the game. But someone had to see that, hey, there is a need for a shift or for the next dimension of transportation to ultimately evolve. And if that hadn't been done, we would still be traveling by foot, horse and carriage, boat, train, and it would take us, again, days, months, and even years to make it from one destination to the next. Let's look at how Steve Jobs as well changed the game with the iPhone. At one point in time, back in the day, I remember when, music was separate from your phone. Internet was separate from your phone. So we had things like Walkmans, MP3 players. What else did we have? We had, internet was not on a phone. We thought, when we got to text messaging, that was a big thing. But Steve Jobs came and basically changed the way that really we do life by creating a phone and a device that stores, houses our music, gives us access to the internet, our apps, so many different things. Really, it's a computer in the palm of our hands, and it helps us in so many different ways as we navigate through life. We can check our emails, we can download things, we can Google things. All these things are at the palm of our hand due to a creation or an invention by Steve Jobs because he solved a problem. He saw a need and he created a solution to solve a problem. Here are 2 quotes by Steve Jobs that I love that I want to share. He says, "Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is that everything around you that you call life is made up by people that were no smarter than you and I. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use." And then he also said in another quote, "We're here to put a dent in the universe. Otherwise, why else even be here?" So your ability to solve problems and to create solutions the world needs. And that's the key to transformative success. It's also the key to our next dimension. And if we haven't yet mastered our current problems, where we live right now, so the things that we're struggling with right now, if we haven't yet mastered them and we're expecting or asking God to promote us or to bless us, at the next level, then we're not yet ready. It's like this. Let's say that I want to climb the ladder of success in my field, in my industry, or I want to grow my business. And so let's say I'm blessed with the opportunity to become a manager or to hire my first team. Let's say it's 5 people, right? And if in managing this team where I presently am, they're driving me crazy. And I say that, this is too much. They don't listen, they don't do this, and it's just too much to handle. But yet, if my expectation is that, Lord, bless me to be able to scale or to have 1,000 storefronts, 100 storefronts, 20 storefronts, 10 storefronts, to enter into this new market, to create whatever growth that I want to be able to see. But I haven't yet mastered where I presently am. So if I go from having trouble with 5 people to manage to now having 100 people or 1,000 people, then I'm likely not ready for the next dimension that I'm believing for. So it requires us to identify our current problems, to create solutions to our current problems, solve them and master them. And as we master the things that we have been entrusted with, then that's how we position ourselves for promotion and the next dimension and the next level. Here's a scripture from Luke 16:10-12. It says, "If you are faithful in little things, you will be faithful in large ones. But if you are dishonest in little things, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. And if you are untrustworthy about worldly wealth, who will trust you with the true riches of heaven? And if you are not faithful with other people's things, why should you be trusted with the things of your own?" Luke 16:10-12. So if we're not faithful where we are, but yet we're expecting promotion, blessing. So if I'm at a job as well, and I'm looking to cut corners and to do the bare minimum, but yet, Lord, this is my best year yet, and I'm not faithful in what I currently have, but yet I'm asking for more. So who's going to trust you with more responsibility? It also says in Matthew 25:21, it says, "The master was full of praise. 'Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount. So now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together.'" So if we master the things that are presently before us by making the adjustments, making the changes that need to be made, then that's when we're ready for the next dimension. That's when we're ready for the next level. So in order to get to the next level, we have to become good or great at solving problems. And in this world, there are many problems. There's problems in our current life that we all need to do some work on. There are external problems that we can find all around the world as well, and in our communities, in our families, that need to be solved as well. And we have to begin to look at how we see problems in a different light. Many times we think problems equals bad, but problems also can create value. And the first thing we have to know and understand is you and I were created to solve a problem and to meet a need. Without any problems, there would never be the need for you and I to do something. If you're in business, the main objective of a business is to ultimately serve and to meet a need. If you're in ministry, well, you're in ministry to what? Be a solution, to help serve someone else. So, creating solutions to problems is the key to our continued success in our next level. So when we talk about problems and how we can begin to also see value in our problems, we want to keep in mind that sometimes the pain of our problems ultimately push us to become advocates. So sometimes we've gone through some things in life and we've been hurt by it, but we want to make sure that the hurt that we've experienced, the next person doesn't have to endure. So we become advocates, mentors, and we help the next person. Sometimes our problems also create a sense of urgency. And sometimes when our back is against the wall and we need to come up with a solution quick, or something has to happen fast, sometimes we operate in our best when our back is against the wall, there's a certain deadline that has to be met. Think about sometimes, well, it depends on the type of person that you are. For some people, they work best where, hey, if they have this test coming up or this research paper they have to do coming up, and planning out in advance, that works for them. But for others as well, sometimes, you don't actually start doing your best work until your back is against the wall. You only have this amount of time to figure something out. So sometimes urgency can also be a good thing because it prompts you to move quick to come up with a solution. I got to figure this thing out now, immediately. I don't have time to wait until next week, next month, next year. I got to do it now. The next way that problems can also create value is because sometimes it's the weight of our problems that become overbearing. It's the weight of them. It's too much. It's too many. I can't carry this burden on my own. And so when that happens, then that creates an opportunity for us to depend on God and to seek Him for His help and His assistance. Because sometimes there are certain things that, of course, come about in our day, in our week, that we can solve on our own without even having to ask Him about it. But some problems we can't solve on our own, and it requires us to seek Him so He can ultimately help make a way out of no way. So here are 5 steps to become a master at problem solving. Step 1 is to identify a problem. And so when we talk about identifying a problem, we got to break it down into 2 categories. You have your internal problems that we have to be able to identify, which we should be able to do that rather easily. And then there's external problems. And external problems are the problems that go on, that happen around us in the world that we live in. And when certain things agitate you, they agitate you to your core, sometimes that's the gateway to the problem that you need to be solving because you're so passionate about it. And that's why you're so agitated about it. So for me, it's financial health, financial literacy, financial education, especially for Blacks and minority communities, because so many of us have not been taught, have not been given the tools and the resources on how to put things in place or how to tap into things to create generational wealth and to make sure that our families are secured. And there's simple things that can be done as well to really change our family dynamic. So that's what it is for me. But for you, it may be something totally different. You may be agitated by the fact that when you watch film or TV, and the fact that there's no Christian film production that's in the marketplace, and I'm agitated by that. That may be your prompting to say, hey, I'm here to start a Christian-based production company. You may be agitated by elderly or seniors in our communities that are left abandoned. That may pull at your heart. You may be purposed here to ultimately help to solve making sure that elderly and seniors are cared for, that they have companionship, and that their needs are met, and they're not left all alone. Yours may be the fact that they don't make clothes for persons your size. So whether you're larger, whether you're short, whatever it may be, they don't do that. And that really agitates me. And I also have this knack for fashion and design. Well, that may be your prompting that says, hey, you need to create a solution. You need to solve a problem in this respective area. And step 2 is to pray to God and seek wisdom for success, to seek wisdom for solutions. Talk to Him, communicate with Him, meditate and allow Him to speak to you, to put things on your heart and on your mind and in your spirit. The third thing is going to be mind storming. And I was introduced to this by Brian Tracy. And so this is how mind storming works. You're going to identify a problem or a goal that you have. And you're going to get out a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, and you're going to actually write it down. So don't just put it into your phone. You're going to actually write it down, because when you write it down, it's good for your brain. And there's a lot of things in terms of scientifically how when you write things down, it helps you to connect to those things. So you're going to identify a problem or a goal, and you're going to write it down in the form of a question. So when you're writing it down, make sure that it's specific and it has a deadline. So whatever your goal is, or whatever your problem is, write it down in the form of a question. So an example would be, how can I double my income to $100,000 by December 31st of this year? Another example could be, how can I lose 15 pounds by April 1st of this year? How can I grow my influencers by 1,500 in the next 60 days? The next step, step 3, is to write out exactly 20 answers to your question. So first step, technically, is to get your journal, piece of paper, pen, pad. Step 2 is to identify your goal or your problem and write it in the form of a question with specifics in terms of deadlines. Third thing is to create 20 answers or ideas to that question. So you got to get to 20. And the first 5 to 10 may be easy, but do not stop until you get to 20. And the further along you get towards that number of 20 is when your creative juices are going to get to flowing. And so that's when your true creativity is going to come about. So 20 answers is step number 3. Step number 4 is after you finish writing out the 20 answers, then you want to rank your answers in terms of what answer do you think is best. So don't do it while initially writing out your 20. Finish the 20 and then rank them in order of preference or priority of what you think is best. After you do that, the next step is you're going to take what you think is best and either do one or two things. You can either take that answer that you think is best and then recreate the process of identifying 20 answers to that answer or to that question that you're now going to pose, or you get to work on it immediately. So that's mindstorming. The fourth step when it comes to becoming great at solving problems is use your creativity. You were created to be unique and to do creative things. So don't just be a copycat. It's okay. And we all should study and learn from others and get gems. But you need to do it your way. You need to do it in your own uniqueness. And the fifth step is to gather the information, resources, and partnerships. Because if we're going to get everything that he has in store for us, we cannot just get there on our own, and we cannot just get there by our current knowledge base or our current understanding. We've got to be continuing to increase our information, our knowledge base, our skill set, our understanding, get more wisdom. And then we also got to create some new relationships, some new partnerships to open new doors. Action items to become a great problem solver. Step 1, identify your problems and mindstorm. Step 2, identify your goals and mindstorm. When you're mindstorming for each goal that you have. The third thing, get creative. Number 4, seek wisdom from God. And we do that by communicating with him, spending time with him, creating space to receive from him. He'll give you a word. He'll give you the direction. He'll begin to put people and things in place along your path to help you get to the next level. And 5, we got to go do it. We got to go execute. So if we want this year to be our best year yet and to get everything that he has in store for us, we have to become great at solving problems, being solution-oriented, and meeting the needs of others.